Hello and welcome back to the Fat Dad Fishing Show. I'm your host, Rich Natoli, and we're back with another episode, but we're going to be talking a little bit about freshwater and kayak fishing tonight. We have on tonight Jay from Bearded Dad Fishing, and it's funny because we live really close to each other and we're in two different worlds. So I'm almost purely saltwater, and he is essentially at this point purely freshwater. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation because we both, right before we came on, both said we should probably try the other one a little bit more. So maybe we'll get talking some striper. We'll get talking some bass, I'm sure, because that's what I'm interested in on the freshwater side right now at this time of year. And so Jay's going to be on just momentarily. We're going to run through the sponsors of the stream first. And as always, our primary sponsor is Great Bay Outfitters on Radio Road in Tuckerton, New Jersey. Great shop for anyone who's interested in anything kayak related, not just kayak fishing, but kayak related. They also have other things outside of that. You can buy a freaking floating dock from Paul and Great Bay Outfitters if you really want one or need one. You can buy e-bikes from Paul. He's got everything. So if you're looking for a new kayak, if you're looking for parts for your existing kayak, Old Town, Native, other brands, he has other used kayaks on consignment all the time. You're going to want to check them out. So Radio Road in Tuckerton. Then we have Quad Stay Tuned, and Kevin Driscoll is the specific sponsor for this. If you own a Toyota truck, we're talking a lot about the third gens, Forerunners, Tundra. The Tacoma third gen is the one that I continuously bring up because it has that gear hunting issue where you're driving down the highway and it doesn't quite seem to be in the right gear. Well, this tune will fix that. It'll also fix up for the Lexus 460, 470, Tundra, Forerunner, all those things. You get more efficiency, more mileage, more horsepower and torque. So if you're towing a boat, you definitely want to check that out. If you're not sure if it's good for you, call Kevin. Number is 484-633-5975. He'll let you know if you should have it or if you should not, and he will tell you the truth. I can tell you that. And the last sponsor is myself as a real estate agent serving Southeastern Pennsylvania. If there's anything I can do for you, my number 267-270-1145 or richardnatoli.com. That's my real estate website. You can go over there and check it out. And one last thing before we bring Jay on. If this is your first time here, or if you haven't done this in the past, please make sure if you enjoy this show, if you find any value in it, please give it a like, give it a share, give it a review. Anything like that really helps us to grow the podcast and the live stream. And, it helps us to get guests that are interested in coming on. So any help there would be appreciated, especially the shares. If there's somebody that that doesn't watch, doesn't listen on the podcast, just send it out to them, give them a shot at it. And if they don't like it, well, they can tell me about it. It's all good. With that said, we're going to bring on Jay real quick. We're going to keep this to about an hour, and we did start late. And I'm going to say, as I bring Jay on screen, we are starting just a couple minutes late tonight. My fault. I was trying to get it so Jay could actually broadcast this to his channels, but we were unable to get that done successfully. And, we didn't want to keep waiting. So Jay, welcome aboard. Good to see you.
What's up, Rich? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
it's okay. I'm accustomed to being late. We're Puerto Rican, and Puerto Ricans are late to everything.
See, I'm always on time. And
all right.
Yeah, but it's that's what happens. The corporate world killed me being on time. And I think part of the reason I started being on time was because it would give me a reason to be pissed at people that were always late, that I didn't like working with. So it was my own little petty way of showing them up. So so welcome to the stream. I've been following you. I want to let everyone know if they want to check you out online, probably, in my opinion, the first place they should look is the Kayak Fishing Dads Facebook group. And I mean, dude, I'll tell you what, that thing grew.
Yeah, it exploded, man. I didn't like my buddy was the one that, so we started Kayak Fishing Dads just kind of as a place to, I don't know, talk about kayak stuff. There's plenty of groups out there, but they all kind of seem like niche specific.
Yep. Yep.
I started it in 2022, just kind of on a whim, and we got close to 45,000 members in there now,
Yeah.
which
That's
is cool, man. People connect there and they go fishing and they meet new fishing buds, and that's what it's all about. Like I love seeing that.
So do I. I'm a member there, have been for a long time. I don't talk much in there. I'm more of a lurker.
Hmm.
Uh, I try to. I'm also a mod for another large Facebook kayak group, and it's just so exhausting that by the time I get out of doing the moderation work and I'm just hanging out, checking out kayak fishing dads, I'm just kind of absorbing it and not interacting. I'm just so tired.
Yeah,
But I mean, but you know, these large groups, it can be tough to moderate. It can be
yeah.
really tough.
Oh
You get
yeah,
all kinds of
yeah. You
people in
gotta.
there.
Yeah, you get. I mean, it's the biggest thing is trying to keep it free of the spam bots and all the fake profiles. Man, there are so many.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
besides that, most people behave, I think.
Most people do. And you don't have a lot of rules that are difficult for people to follow because everybody says that they're going to go by the rules, but they really don't read the rules and they're in 100 different groups. So they don't remember the rules. And you don't have a lot.
Yeah.
Yours are just kind of common sense rules. The one that I'm a moderator in, you have to, if you post a picture of you on the water, you have to have a PFD on or else
Uh-oh.
it gets taken down. So
Yeah.
with 110, 120,000 people in that group, you can imagine that we are continuously but the niche is it's a nonprofit that is centered on kayak safety.
Oh
So
well,
so it
it
makes
makes
sense,
sense
right?
then. Yeah.
But yeah, it can be exhausting. So why don't we start off people that aren't familiar with you, why don't you start off by, you know, giving a little bit of background about yourself, where they
Yeah,
can find you and what it is you do on the water.
for sure, man. I'm bearded dad fishing in 2021. I started kayak fishing in 2021. So the idea just started from wanting to film kind of my fishing exploits. My wife bought me a GoPro and I thought it was the coolest thing. And I was like, man, I'm just going to show her all the fish I catch instead of these like little crappy pictures. And I think my second time out with the GoPro, I landed my one and only tiger muskie, and I thought it was super cool. She's like, "Upload it to YouTube." I was like, "All right,
Mhm.
cool." So I did, and I have a video editing past. Like I did that through most of college, and my first step in my career was all video editing. So it wasn't hard to kind of get into that side of it. And I posted my first 6 videos were just me going fishing, and I thought it was fun. But then, you know, it was just exciting to get like 10 views on a video. I was like, man, that's 10
Yep.
people that I don't know that are watching my video. That's so neat. Then for some reason, I just stopped. I know why. I got busy and then it got cold and I don't fish in the cold. So I just stopped in the wintertime, picked it up again the next spring. And I remember wanting to go out fishing on my birthday and I couldn't because it was going to rain and it was still cold out. So I was like, whatever, I'm just going to do an overview of my kayak here in
Yep.
my driveway. So I did an overview of my kayak and that video just blew up for me at the time. Like I started getting hundreds of views a day on the video
Yep.
and quickly got monetized maybe within like 9 months. And that's when I was like, well, maybe instead of just fishing videos, I'll do more tutorial, how to, you know, like getting comfortable on the water type videos. So that's kind of the lane I've been staying in. I'll do a couple fishing videos a year, but for the
Yep.
most part, my videos are very much geared to people starting kayak fishing that maybe don't feel comfortable or they just don't know. They're dealing with information overload because it's the internet, and yeah, I'm adding one more piece of information to it, but I'm trying to organize it where it's not uh, like all over the place.
Right. It's tough. I started off doing just kind of like me fishing and then I went into like the how to,
Yeah,
and I don't do a lot of I don't do a lot of videos anymore because I mainly just do the live stream and the podcast because people just get so pissed because you know I will talk about a spot specifically and people figure it out and they get so angry. I'm like, well, go to hell then. I don't need to tell you where it is. Not
yeah,
I'm not burning spots. I'm just, you know, it's just a regular video, but I've had some pretty it's just a pain in the ass. And I don't think what people realize is you can spend hours on a 5-minute video,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
hours to do that. And knowing that it's not going to get 100,000 views, you just kind of do it to be helpful. And it's like, well, maybe I'm not going to do it so much anymore. I got
Yeah, it
stuff to do.
doesn't I mean, if you're gonna even if you are monetized on YouTube, I mean, what you factor in for a video, on average I spend about 15 hours of video, and that's
Yep.
between scripting, filming, editing, and then you got to work on all the back end stuff like the descriptions and the tags and everything else.
Yep.
But I mean, even if most people are maybe making like a couple dollars on a video, and then they
If
get
they're
one that
lucky.
blows up, maybe they'll get
Yeah.
more. But
Yeah, if they're lucky, I would say that the average person that just got monetized is probably making about $5 a month.
Yeah, I don't think that's far off. And most people that you watch in the kayak fishing space are not monetized. They do it because it's fun. You know, it's fun. Right. It starts as a passion project, and sometimes when people do something consistently enough and they start to get good at it, they'll eke into, they can start making some money out of it. And then
I haven't hit that point.
Yeah.
That's okay though, because as we were saying, before we came on here offline, it's more of a passion project for people. And, and it really became clear to me that I just wanted to keep doing this. Even if I wasn't doing the videos, I wanted to at least do the podcast and the live stream, because I just have so much fun doing it. And I know that it helps people. The guests that come on, they introduce people to a new type of fishing or new strategies. And look, we all wish that we could hang out all day with people and talk fishing, and we can't. So figured, hey, Monday night's a good time. We just got through the first day of the week, the worst day of the week at work. And if we could just talk on Monday nights, maybe it'll make things a little bit easier for everyone. And then we do the podcast, audio comes out on Thursday mornings, just so that people have enough time from when they're, for the saltwater guys coming from PA to New Jersey or New York, then they can actually, listen to it in the car on the way down and maybe pick up some information. So, but you're not going to the shore. You're staying
I'm not.
Here.
Yeah. So, we were talking before we went live that it's on my list to go fish the salt. So again, I've only really been fishing on a kayak I've been fishing since I was a kid, but it was more on and off, and then on a kayak since 2021. So 4 years. So I do mostly lakes, small lakes around here. I just kind of started venturing into river fishing this year, because the Susquehanna is not far from here, and I want to go out to it more, especially it being an hour and a half from me. It's basically in my backyard.
Right. But you're gonna have to get used to fishing in the cold, because you had mentioned striped bass fishing a couple times with me in our first email exchange. You said, if I come on, we got to go striped bass fishing. That's cold weather, my friend.
Is it? Well,
that's the best time. It's the best time to go.
I just got to button up and get used to it, I guess.
Yeah. Dry suit if it's late enough in the year, or a wetsuit if it's not quite that late. Get some decent, neoprene boots, and you'll be good. But I'll tell you what, there are very few things that are as exciting as hooking into a fall run striped bass and having it pulling you all around the place while you're trying to bring it up. And then you pull it, you pull that damn thing out of the water, and 40 plus inches on it. That's a pretty good feeling. We'll have to work on that.
For sure. I mean, I did catch striper off my kayak, but they were freshwater striper, and it was 16 and a half inches. So I mean, I got a striper, but I would much rather prefer a 35 plus inch fish.
Yeah, I mean, they're fun, but I'll tell you what, the fight on those small ones, they fight harder. The small ones, obviously with the size added in on the 35 inch plus, you get to a 30, 40 pound fish. It feels a lot more impressive until you really think about it. In my experience, they don't fight as hard as the smaller ones. The smaller ones are like pissed off, and they're more aggressive. The large ones, they can sometimes turn into just kind of like a dead weight type of thing, which, it's cool when you pull it out of the water, but then when you think about the fight, it's like, it was all right. But you caught a tiger muskie.
I did. Yeah. So up in New York, and I've hooked into a couple here in Pennsylvania, just never, because I'm never targeting them. So I'm out there with whatever 6-8 pound test.
Yeah.
And so they cut off real easily. But the time in New York, I also wasn't targeting it. And it was just 8 pound test, little 3.5 inch like jerk bait, and sure enough, this thing just whams it, and I caught it on video, and it was cool. I mean, I still watch that video just because it's exciting. I didn't even know what to do with myself.
All right.
Uh,
So let me ask you this. So I have my 10,000 plus casts and I don't have one yet.
okay.
As I watch videos, there's one with Kristen Fisher where she's out there and she's catching these things. And this seems to be, so tell me about this. You only caught the one, maybe you don't know, but it seems to me that the vast majority of muskie are caught right at the boat on the figure eight, and it's about a 13-second fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then after that, like it's all, I mean, depends if it'll run with the drag, but a lot of them you're catching them right there with that figure eight. And I have a good friend that targets them all the time on Lake St. Clair, and he's pretty good. I mean, he can get one or two on a trip, and they get big out there. I mean, that's big. It's big freshwater. So
I just want the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I saw the one where Chris, and this is nothing against Kristen. She's obviously very, very good at what she does. And she caught a couple on this trip. And the first one, I was like, it's not the fight that you're looking for this fish. It's the fact that you caught it. Right. Because as soon as it's hooked up, they're grabbing the net. And on like the third swing around, I don't think this was Kristen doing it, but like on the third swing around, I mean, because there's like no leader left. It's all the way reeled up right when they hooked it. They just pulled it right into the net. And I mean, it was a big fish that was over 40 inches. I mean, that thing was huge.
Oh yeah. But did you see the one that bit her knee?
I didn't.
Yeah. So she had one. She's like a pitcher. Like it just flopped to the side. It was probably like a 40-inch plus fish, and it flopped to the side and it grabbed a hold of her knee.
Oh, it grabbed it.
She had to shove her finger in there to pop it off.
That's ballsy, even throwing your finger in there too.
Yeah.
I guess that's a pure reaction. You got to do something at that point.
Yeah, they're pretty gnarly, man. I mean, to think how pissed off they are to even at that. I mean, because when you're doing that figure eight, you could shove the rod in the water and everything. They don't care. They probably see nothing because it's just tunnel vision on whatever's ticking them at that point, and then they'll go for it.
That's awesome. I can't believe it bit her though.
Yeah.
Oh, was cool. She damaged really bad? Did she have to get stitches and everything?
I don't think she had to get stitches, but I mean, I think it left a pretty cool scar.
That's like the one thing that always concerns me about different species is their teeth flying around once they're in the boat. And, you know, I get nervous as I'm sure you do. If you were to catch one on a kayak, bringing it into your lap, like sharks, I really don't like bringing a shark in because they can turn around and, you know, they can get you when you have them by the tail. I've been bit by a shark before because I was stupid when it was in the boat. I can't imagine bringing a muskie that size in. Snakeheads, I think snakeheads. Do you go snakehead fishing?
No, it's on my list. Those things look fun.
Damn, I was going to say, if you go snakehead fishing, I want to follow you because that's the one thing that I'm trying to get into, and I haven't caught one yet. I've been silently going every once in a while as I cross places that look good. Got kicked off somebody's property a few weeks ago. I didn't realize it was private. But I there was a little fry ball there too. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And the guy's like, hey, I don't mind if you're here right now, but this is private. I was like, damn it. Yeah. Like, all right, I'll leave. I'm out. But those are, so you do have the toothy guys for the freshwater.
We do. I mean, they're not, I wouldn't say they're probably as aggressive or as many of them as maybe saltwater. You know, we got like the pickerel, walleye, muskie, you know. But
what are you targeting most of the time though?
Mostly bass, so large
mostly bass.
Yeah. We'll do, so last year for the first time I targeted black crappie. So my buddy Jake, he's in the chat. We went for some black crappie, and that was fun. So, and they're delicious too. I've never had freshwater fish.
Really?
Yeah. So those were pretty good. I've heard walleye are good.
They are. I like walleye. I used to catch a lot of walleye. I always get concerned because of where you're fishing freshwater. You know, is it clean enough? And, you know, like catfish, I don't know that there's a catfish in Pennsylvania I would eat just because of what they eat and where they are, you know, out of the Schuylkill. I don't think so. Snakeheads are apparently good. Well, I do love walleye though. So, but you're
Yeah.
mostly going largemouth.
Yeah.
So when does your season end?
So I mean, it's really starts to slow down around August, but I mean, you can, if I'm not mistaken, we can target them all the time except for during their spawn. Which,
Yeah,
I mean, in Jersey and New York, you can target them, you just can't harvest. And I mean,
right.
not many people harvest bass over here, anyways, for sport fishing.
No, bass. I mean, I've had bass. They're very fishy.
Hmm.
It's not my favorite. Kind of like bluefish, but bluefish I think have a little better taste, even though it's just as strong.
No.
So I'll definitely eat the bluefish. I'm seeing in the chat the recommendation that you want to go saltwater. We're going to do in December a tog trip out on one of the charter boats. So I'll send you an email when we do that. We're just a bunch of viewers and listeners for the podcast get together. We all jump on the boat together. I think we went on the Osprey last time. We'll probably do that again. Just head off Atlantic City. It's going to be cold,
Okay.
but I mean, tog fishing. Have you ever gone tog fishing at all?
Never.
Do you know what a tog is?
I don't.
Okay.
I've
So
heard
it's
of it plenty, but I don't know what it is.
yeah. Okay. So tautog, it's blackfish is also one of the names for it. It's a bottom fish on structure. So you're fishing wrecks offshore. It is
Okay.
cold. It is bottom fishing, but it is so much fun. It's crazy. When you hook one of those things, they immediately try to run for cover. So you got to clear them out of the wreck by just cranking as hard as you can to get them out, and then they'll dig. And when they
Huh.
start digging, that rod is like doubled, and all they're trying to do is get into the rocks or into the structure, because once they get in, they go in head first and they extend their fins and just sit there. So it locks them in like an anchor. It's
Yeah.
so much fun
Jeez. Are
though.
they big?
They can get pretty big. I think the
Okay.
world record is what, 26 pounds?
Okay.
26 pounds, I think it is. Yeah. New Jersey state record. I think his was about 24. So yeah, it's fun. So I'll get you on that. But largemouth bass. So if you're going to be fishing for that coming up, let's talk a little bit about your tactics, because we do definitely have freshwater fishermen that listen to and watch this. What are you doing at this time of year in Eastern Pennsylvania when you're heading out on the water?
Yeah. So I mean, we're kind of getting out of the top water bite. So I mean, all summertime, top water frogs, whopper plopper is probably my favorite, or chopo.
Yep.
So we're just working on that top water. My buddy got me onto that buzz bait bite this year, which was fun. I mean, I'm like learning all new types of techniques,
Yeah.
but you can't beat a top water bite when it comes to fishing. Period, man. It's just something
Something crazy
exciting
about
about
it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of that. Like, and I have my confidence baits that I feel like always, like in the summertime specifically, even in this type of temperature right now, like throwing out a fluke is always a good deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we're throwing out like 4 or 5 inch flukes, and they're almost always hitting it. So it's
And
just a soft jerk bait, but
so are you using different tactics for smallmouth versus a largemouth? Or are you looking different places?
yeah. So I'm not super experienced with smallmouth. I mean, I've caught them, but their behavior is different, and usually smallmouth will go deeper,
Yeah.
and so they're not going to be hanging out around the same spots for the most part. So but I'm still, we're going up to Otisco in New York. So it's the easternmost Finger Lake
Yep.
up in New York. So we're going up there targeting smallmouth in just a couple weeks.
Man.
That's gonna
So
be fun, man.
we're like the opposite. So I have caught very few largemouth, but smallmouth I've caught a lot. And
Yeah.
people always say, well, how many largemouth? I'm like, I don't know. I could probably count them on two hands, in my life. And they
Hmm.
just don't get it. And I'm like, I think they're in different spots, because
Oh, for
I go
sure.
out with people and they catch them all the time. And I'm fishing the same day, the same area, and I'm catching all smallmouth.
Yeah. Yeah. So largemouth tend to stay more shallow.
Yeah.
They'll get deeper, but they tend to you won't find a smallmouth to be up that shallow most of the time.
All right.
And even when they bed, they bed a little bit deeper.
That's just so the whole bedding thing. That is
Yeah.
not a saltwater thing.
No.
That is not. No, no. I mean, like, I don't think so. Unless I'm missing somebody in the chat, tell me if I'm just not thinking of something, but there is no like bedding down or anything like that. You can't see like the crappie and where they've been and where to target. It's just like they're all over the place. So that's like a whole different tactic to me. It's not something that I'm familiar with. But I want to tell you though, the approach that you use with that top water, and actually for any bass, smallmouth included, it's going to directly translate to those striped bass in the saltwater. I mean,
Okay.
all the way down to this very similar baits. And a lot of people won't mention this, but if you're fishing saltwater for striped bass, you can use frogs. Frogs work, and they work really well because they push a lot of water and they make a lot of commotion. So if they're feeding and it's a top water bite, you can actually use a frog. You can also use the little the mouse lures; those work as well.
Okay.
They'll eat all
Yeah.
those things, but but most of it is actually subsurface for the vast majority of the fishing. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So okay. So you're going out. Let's say you're going out for largemouth. The top water bite is kind of winding down. Let's say it's October. So it's kind of winding down. You're going subsurface. What is it that you're using at that point?
So typically I'll throw on if a fluke will be my next go-to. Because I just feel comfortable with a fluke. It's because you just the motion it gets is really erratic, and you can tie on a fluke so that it can stay. So I got to stay in frame here, but you could tie it on so that it can, when you jerk it, it pops upwards.
Yeah.
So you're getting a little bit more subsurface, and sometimes it'll just even pop through the surface and come back down. Or you can rig it so that when you jerk it, it comes down a little bit. So, but you're still going to be in that 2 foot-ish deep water.
Yeah.
So, and if that's not working, then I'll tie on a jerk bait, like a hard jerk bait, like a Rapala. The X wraps are my favorite, or the shadow wraps.
Okay.
And I like the suspending jerk baits, and a lot of people like the floating ones, which are fine. But I just, something about it, I just like the suspending ones, and I feel like I get better luck with those. But because you can control the depth a little bit easier with those versus a fluke, you could tie on, something with a little bit of a bigger bill and get it down to 8 feet. So you can kind of play with that whole range of the water column.
Right. The suspending, I think, are underrated. The
No.
floating, I used to use floating all the time, and I realized it was because it gave me a starting point. So I'd see it pop to the top, and then I'd know, okay, a certain number of cranks is when I'm going to get it down to where it really needs to be. But the problem with that is I'm out of the zone for half the time. They're not feeding on the top. That's why I'm not fishing top water. So the
No.
floating ones, for most of now they do have a great application for certain situations, but I used to use it as a default for freshwater, and it was definitely not the right way to go. I actually stopped using those. The suspending are great. You like the X wraps, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
The X wraps
size
and
are
the
you
shadow,
using?
the 4 inch.
The 4 inch. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They get pretty big. They got some bigger ones, but I think I might have one 5 inch, but I stay right around that 4 inch mark.
Well, the
Yeah, I
big
don't.
ones, they're still going to eat the smaller stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man. One thing I don't mess around with a whole lot are like the smaller jerk baits. So like the 2.5 inch Rapalas, like the 3 inch. Like it's seldom that I'll throw one. I find like that 4 inch to be that sweet spot that works a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
And what's your whole setup like for you're heading out on the kayak, you're going to reach around behind you to your 34 rods that you have back there. You carry at least 8, right?
I
If I
don't. I carry
remember.
6.
6.
So
Okay.
yeah. So I don't
That's like a
I don't know
lot
if that
more.
makes much of a difference. So, but
All right.
yeah.
So the first
Okay.
rod that you grab, what is it? What's that entire setup? The rod, the reel, the line, and all of that. What's the first thing that you're pulling out?
So typically, I mean, most of my setups are going to be like all around. Like I try to make it versatile. Like, yeah, I carry 6 rods, but I'm probably not using more than 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So my main one's like a medium heavy is going to be I have so most of my rods are impulse rods because I was working with them on a sponsorship basis last couple years. And so I still have a lot of those, but impulse rods make really good rods. They're a little bit on the pricier side of things, so I don't try to steer people towards them, because sometimes you don't really need to spend $250 for a rod. For
Right.
most people, again, most of the people I work with and do my videos for are beginners. No way I'm telling you to get a $400 setup when you're just starting out with a $400 kayak.
Right.
But yeah, so like a 7'3" medium heavy. Usually a bait caster if I'm throwing something a little bit bigger, or I prefer a spinning rod. Whenever I can swing a spinning rod, I'll go for a spinning rod. And then I'll do 15-pound braid on my spinning rods with a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. And then on my bait casters, I was running braid, but this year I started running 12-pound fluorocarbon, 10 or 12 depending which one I'm grabbing. But
Really, and how's that working out compared to the braid?
I prefer, so for the ease of casting and picking out your bird's nest, I prefer the braid.
Yeah.
Because I use it's a Power Pro braid,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never had an issue. I think I've had one bird's nest I've ever couldn't pick out on my own with the braid. And with the fluorocarbon, I feel like they're just a little bit trickier to work out.
Yeah.
If you get a nasty one.
Well, especially if you get a kink in there, then you're done.
Yeah. I do
you pull
prefer.
that too tight.
I do prefer the braid, but I'm getting used to the fluorocarbon on there for the bait casters.
Okay. Yeah, I have found on my bait casters, the first time that I got one and I was testing it, I had fluoro on there. And that was the biggest waste of money because it was expensive to put on, and it was bird nest after bird nest. I am terrible at casting a bait caster. I just never learned it, and I tried to learn it when I was like 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. The old dog, new tricks. Yeah, I didn't learn that one very well. I'm terrible at casting it, so I
They
went
are
back
tricky.
to braid.
And the big mistake that people make is that when they're getting into, and I was fortunate enough to have a friend that told me this right away, is they buy a cheap bait caster because they don't want to dive in too much money on something they don't know if they're going to like. But usually that ruins the experience. I mean, your brakes are all messed up. It doesn't cast nice. It's not smooth. So then what would have been probably better casting and a better experience ends up being more frustration. And then people just kind of say, nah, I'm going to just stick with spinning gear. Because I try to avoid a bait caster for a while just because I don't like to learn new things if I don't have to. Once I'm comfortable, I like to set in.
So that's how I am. And my first bait caster was whatever, I forget the Quantum, whatever it is. It's the same thing that John Skinner uses for those that are watching and listening. And I got it for literally vertical fishing, not to cast, just because it's more convenient to use it. And then I started casting with it. I was like, this is not quite right, but I wanted to be able to flip under docks. And that's really, really hard with a spinning rod to do. But you can flip and skip a lot easier with a bait caster. So yeah, Paul put in there, it's an Accurus. So yeah, it's the Accurus that I got. And it is not a casting reel. It's, at least I can't cast with it very well. And then I got another one, don't remember what that is, just to practice with, and I got a little bit better. But I'll tell you what, at this point I just won't skip under docks because I just can't do it. But that kind of leads into my question: are you skipping undercover at all with these bait casters?
I will switch to my spinning gear if I have to flip under something or skip under something, just because I will bird's nest it.
Okay.
And so I'm practicing this year. I did a little bit more, but just to save the aggravation, I'll just go and switch to my spinning gear, because we'll skip under docks, and that's where a lot of the bass hang out. But some guys can get some good distance on a bait caster, and it always just like blows my mind. Like, I don't know how you do it without your reel just.
I don't get it. I don't get it, because as soon as it hits this, like the second skip, to me, that's where it just starts bird's nest right there, because it slows it just enough that it overruns itself. So I guess you're supposed to do something with your thumb, but with the spinning reel, are you doing the two-handed? You're holding the line and then you're just kind of letting it go and through your hand, or are you just doing the one-handed flip?
So usually a one-handed. If I can, it depends. If I'm standing, because I'll stand and fish quite a bit. But if I have to get pretty low, then it just leverage wise and kind of like where I'm aiming, it's a little easier when I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man, freshwater fishing is getting harder and harder for me just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I,
So, question for you though. One thing that's big with freshwater fishing is forward facing sonar.
Mhm.
And I've started getting into it last year, and I've been using it more this year. Especially for targeting smallmouth, like that's the thing now. A lot of the guys that are competing,
Yeah.
if you don't understand forward facing sonar, you're at a disadvantage. Is that as important in saltwater? Are people using forward facing sonar?
Oh yeah, they're using it, and I don't use it. But I also don't fish for the species as much that you get the huge benefits out of it, right? So from my perspective, a quote unquote fish finder is not for finding fish. I use
Hmm.
it almost entirely just to find structure. And based on what I know about the fish that I'm targeting and that species and reading the currents around there, knowing the tides and the wind, I can determine that the fish is most likely in this spot. So all I need to do is find that kind of structure and I'll fish that structure, whether I see something or not. Now, then you look at somebody again, let's go to Paul, who's fishing for sheep's head. So sheep's head are going to be right up against structure really tight. Let's say it's a bridge piling. You can be damn sure that Paul has a forward facing, or people like Paul have forward facing sonars on there and live scopes and all this, whatever you want to call these things. And they're looking for the individual fish before they fish that piling, because otherwise you're going to spend 25 minutes to a half an hour fishing a bridge piling that has no fish,
Mm.
and there's no way to tell. So I think from that standpoint, if you're sheep's head fishing as an example, yeah. If you're tog fishing, no, because they're hiding, not all the time, but quite often they're coming out of the structure, so you're not going to necessarily see them anyway. They're
Hmm.
inside something or between rocks. Fluke, they won't show up, they're on the bottom. Striped bass, I don't I'll say this: if you need it for striped bass, you need to go back to school and work on how to catch them, because you shouldn't need forward facing for striped bass.
Mm.
Side scan works fine, because all you need to do is find the school of bait fishing. You'll find the actual fish with it. So that's my take on saltwater.
Okay.
But man, I'll tell you what, I've watched some people online freshwater. It is amazing. It
Yeah.
is amazing what they're doing with it. And these guys sheep's head fishing, they're saving so much time, so much
Yeah.
energy, you know. So I could
Yeah.
see why it's unfair to some people
Yeah.
for tournaments.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think the folks that I'm okay with tournaments banning it. Like if they're gonna do a tournament with no forward facing sonar or limited electronics, or for kayaking, some of them don't allow motors, which is
Right.
makes sense if someone wants to compete that way. But people that think it's just like, oh, you got forward facing sonar, now you catch fish because you can't fit because you don't know how to fish. It's silly. Like
No,
it's
for the
like
most
you have
part,
to
I
learn
don't
how to
buy
use
that.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't buy that. I mean, look, you can sit on any boat, any charter boat, and go out with a whole bunch of people. And 9 times out of 10, the best fisherman right next to you is going to catch exponentially more fish than you, because they know how to fish and they know how
Mm.
to work the lure and everything. Just because something's there doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Yeah.
And, ultimately what it comes down to is, for me, my favorite part is finding the fish and getting that hook up. For some people, it's reeling it in and everything, but for me, it's finding it and then fooling it into biting something that it should never want to bite. So an artificial. And there's just such a difference in skill there. I mean, even for some of
Hmm.
these bottom fishermen, they're pulling up tog, they're catching them on bait. They're doing little things different than the person next to them. So I've never bought the cheat code thing. It's definitely
Yeah.
a time saver, but you put somebody who's not really good at fishing for bass next to somebody, and give them a live scope, and then you put them next to a pro. The pro, he's not even going to flinch. He's going to bail fish all day, and the novice isn't going to catch anything, even though he can see exactly what he's targeting.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, if it was the case, these pros on the Elite Series, like Bassmaster, that are complaining about forward-facing sonar, they'd be catching fish left and right. But they're just
Yeah.
a lot of people don't want to learn the technology, or they're just stubborn. I mean, as you get older, you get more stubborn, and I'm starting to realize that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuck in their ways.
The other thing that also kind of factors into that line of thinking is not just the sonar, but the spot lock. So for
Mm,
saltwater, that became big because there is an art to anchoring over structure offshore. So it's not like you're just dropping a single anchor. You're on two hooks. So you're setting out two anchors and you're positioning the boat with the current and the wind so that you are directly over top of the wreck that you want to fish. That takes a lot of skill, a lot of time, and a lot of experience to do it right. And now you
mhm.
got these credit card captains coming out with spot lock and they just fly out, they hit the number and they just hit lock and they're stuck on this spot, which, I get it. The captain that, has been going out there for 30 years not only found the spot on their own, but they know how to work the hooks to get over top of it. Now it doesn't even matter. People just come right
Yeah,
up next to you and spot lock on your same spot. So
yeah, yeah. It's like an irrelevant skill at this point and I have spot lock on my kayak. It is nice.
it is. Yeah. I don't begrudge anyone for using it. I don't. It's just but I can see why the old school captains are upset.
Oh
That
yeah.
to me, that to me is more of a cheat code than the different types of new sonars that people have. Because
Hmm.
again, certain types of fish like a tog, it's going to be in that structure, and half of the battle used to be getting over that structure so you could get your line into it vertically. Now anybody can do that.
Hmm.
So it definitely changed the game there. But I don't know, man. Do you think that this is kind of off topic, but is it just me or is there so much drama about all this crap in fishing? It's like I feel like it's a bunch of little teenage kids complaining, it's like you did this,
Yeah.
you did that, you showed that. You There's
I
just so
think
much of that in fishing now. It's crazy.
I think it points to a bigger issue of people just want to argue about everything, dude. In
Yeah.
fish, I think it bleeds into fishing because that's what we're passionate about, and we partake in the most. But I mean, people just want to argue and debate, and I'm not about that. Like I'll I'll debate somebody about something if I'm passionate enough about that. But for the most part, people just they listen to respond. They don't listen to understand. So once you
Yeah.
got someone like that, why are you wasting your breath?
Yeah,
You
I
know, like
agree.
I've had those discussions about the live scope and everything else, and people are also passionate about Alabama rigs and using more than two hooks, and some people get really pissed off about it, which
Right.
whatever, get mad about it, but I'm not gonna sit there and argue with someone about something silly.
I try not to. There are certain things that I do feel very strongly about. There are certain conservation things.
Hmm.
I try not to argue though, but it's really eye-opening to watch like a 60-year-old dude get so bent out of shape over the dumbest things. And then but then what makes it worse is they don't even realize they're being trolled 90% of the time. It's
Yeah.
somebody posted something just to piss you off. Striped bass. It's every year people get bored because they're off the water in the late fall, so they'll post a picture from like 1986 when it was legal to keep every size fish there is and as many as you wanted. And they're going to have this grainy photo that was obviously scanned from like a Kodak camera. And it's like a dock filled with like 30 dead stripers. And they just
Mm.
post it and they're like, caught it at Lake Hopatcong in New York. And and everyone jumps on it. That's not legal. You're an asshole. It's like, dude, come on. First of all,
Yeah.
the guy's 22 based on his profile. He wasn't around when the Kodak cameras even existed. And yeah, then they just sit back and watch everyone get upset.
Yeah. Well, it's worse now with AI because, and I love AI. Like, learn if you for professionally or for whatever, learn to use AI because if you don't, you will be at a disadvantage.
Yep.
But my dad watches a lot of YouTube, and my dad's 70, about to be 75. he has a hard time though discerning what's AI and what's not.
Yeah.
So whether it's video or voice or pictures, he's usually asking me. He'll be like, "Jay, is this AI?" And I have to tell him like. And most of the time, like if you mess around with it enough, you get an eye. Pretty easy to pick up when it is. But like a lot of those older guys just don't. They
No.
can't. You know.
My mother-in-law falls for AI she keeps reposting things. It's like, it's not real. It's not real. My daughter called me. She's like, oh, she did it. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. But reposting all this stuff. The whole thing lately, like you'd think every sports person has a say on everything, and they're all fake quotes out there and fake videos. And you think Joe Rogan introduces every single topic for everybody on YouTube. The guy must be the busiest guy in the world. It's just AI and all that other stuff going. But yeah, I do agree. I use AI every day at work.
Yeah,
Just can't get away from it. You better use it, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy some of the stuff out there, but you get to see it a lot because you're a social media fisherman,
yeah,
right? Like you share
yeah.
everything.
For the most part, and I'm able to use a lot of the AI stuff when I'm creating content, which is cool, and not necessarily like to create my videos, but to prepare for my videos. Like I use AI just to help me prepare for my scripts, just so I have a little bit more of an automated workflow, things like
Yep.
that. So in content creation, and one thing I found is that a lot of guys that fish, they want to start a YouTube channel, which I'm all for it. I started it almost right away, and it didn't go crazy right away, but if you stick with anything consistently, you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
So I like to help guys like kind of build up some of those skills, whether it's video editing or even just like, hey, picking out the right GoPro and recording yourself. Because you build a lot of real world talent and abilities through doing something like a YouTube channel. I mean, because you're learning marketing, you're
Yep.
learning how to present well and speak better. You're learning how to write and how to hook people into a story, because it's all storytelling in a way, and how well you can keep someone engaged.
The best channels are, and that's, I think, why mine isn't bigger. I'm not the greatest at storytelling, but that's literally what it comes down to. You got to be able to tell the story in a compelling way. And I've read the books. I'm just not as good at executing, but I'll tell you what, AI can do it.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll say, write this in this voice, referencing all the information from this book, and give me a script, and it'll do it.
Mm.
Which is helpful for some of the videos I do for work. I don't, most of mine are just kind of off the cuff now, but yeah, you learn a lot of skills. And I used to help people, to get started with their YouTube channels, and a couple of them are bigger than mine. Not that I have a large channel, but I love when people want to start them and
Yeah.
they call me and ask to help them out.
Yeah. I mean, there's never a bad time to do it. I mean, it's just like a lot of people default to like, oh, there's a lot of competition. Like, why am I going to do it? It's like, yeah, there's always competition, but
Yeah.
most people will bail before they make it through 5 or 6 videos. And even if you decide you do 5 or 6 videos and you say, hey, this isn't for me, and you bail, then whatever, you learn something in those 5 or 6 videos. But a lot of times people gravitate to a creator or a style of creator because it resonates with who they are and their personality.
Yeah.
So
And
there's room for everybody.
you said the thing that I think is the most important at the beginning. You're like, yeah, I was only getting 10 views, but I was like, wow, that's 10 people I don't know that are watching. I mean, that's pretty cool. People are, I heard people complaining before. So I used to work for Salt Strong and be like, oh, it only got this number of views. I'm like, it's 20,000 people.
Yeah.
You're going to complain about 20. You just helped 20,000 people. Like, why is that an issue? It could
Yeah.
be 1,000, and all you need is to help a few. And I just never got that. I think people don't truly understand just how many people that is. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just,
Well, especially when you're comparing yourself to other creators or other
yeah,
channels, because I mean, yeah, you're not gonna start off getting 50,000 views on a video or whatever. I'd love to get 50,000 views on my video like that, but it doesn't happen. And it's not overnight success. It might look like it, you
yeah.
know. but it's just consistency and sticking with it, and but like you said, you pick up a lot of stuff doing that.
You do. I mean, I can edit videos, I can edit audio, I can start a
Hmm.
podcast, I can do a lot of things. I can script, I can use AI very well at this point because I have used it. I understand SEO, I understand hashtags when they work and when they don't. I know how to do
Hmm.
hooks. I
No.
know how to do outros, all of those things. And those do translate directly into business, which is always good. And it has helped me to help other people with the things that they're doing.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, you said GoPro a couple times. Do you use GoPro?
So I don't anymore. So
You're
I
using
used it.
DJI?
So I'm actually using Insta360
Ah,
currently.
okay.
So I was using GoPro for, I don't know, the last 3 years, and then I switched over. I was gonna make the jump to DJI just because they've been doing really good work with their action cameras.
Yep.
But I started working with Insta360. They sent me some gear. What transparency? They sent me gear for free.
Yeah.
But it was not like I had to say anything specific. They just said, "Hey, check this out. Make a review on it and give your honest thoughts." So I got started with the X5, which just came out a couple months ago, and it's that 360 camera that they have.
Yep.
And probably within a week or so, I was like, man, this is for me. Like, it's just the way that Insta360 made their app so intuitive to editing a 360 camera is kind of mind-boggling, especially when you're coming from GoPro, which I feel like it's the opposite of intuitive. They drop the ball all the time on making things streamlined, from their accessories to the way that their files work and edit and using their actual heads up display and everything.
Yeah.
Uh, so I mean, it works, and if people want to get started with GoPro, because there's so many on the market, you can get a good used cheap one.
Yeah.
But for me, Insta360, as of the last several months, has been what I've been using. And also, they have what they call the Ace Pro 2, which is their direct competitor to GoPro. So it's a smaller action camera. So it's not 360,
Right.
but
Now, are they fully immersible waterproof?
they are. Yeah. So they
Okay.
are up to the one, I forgot which one is which, but one's up to 12 meters, the other one's up to 15 meters. And then if you put a special case on it, you can go deeper than that.
Okay. So I'm asking because I've been using DJI. I absolutely love DJI. I don't love the fact that they can essentially steal all your stuff and get into your devices because you have to have an
Mm,
account. So I don't like that. However, I was out recently, submerged one camera, and it decided to blow up. So the
no
lithium
kidding.
somehow water got in it, hit the lithium battery, and it just went
Jeez.
underwater. So it was pretty impressive. I was like, what the hell is happening? It was on a pole. I was like, oh no. I
Oh,
left
wow.
it underwater until it did its thing. But yeah, so the salt water hit it. So now I'm in the market to look for a couple of new cameras, and I'm not going back to GoPro. I just don't think the quality and the reliability is there. I
No.
don't like having cameras overheat in 25-degree weather, which
Hmm.
happens all the time with them. And they just shut
Yeah.
off randomly. Or they actually, you know what? Have you ever had this? They don't shut off. They're still on, but the battery's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll glitch,
Yeah.
they'll freeze up. I mean, I don't want to sound like ungrateful. Like, I went very far and I started my channel. The first 2 years, I shot everything on my GoPro. So
Yeah.
I
Me
mean, I'm
too.
grateful for that. But at the same time, like, it's not the best option anymore. Like, and
Right.
I like what
Especially at the cost.
yeah. Yeah, because it's not that far off. I mean, for their new Hero 13 is like $370. The Insta360's version of the Ace Pro 2 is $399, and I don't know what DJI sits at, but it's right
Yeah.
in that window there.
Yep.
So they do the apps better. DJI too. I mean, the apps are just very fluid, and there's not a whole lot of freezing and all that stuff. So
Yeah. I'm gonna have to try out those. I got to find a new camera at some point. I do still record my stuff. I just haven't edited any videos lately. All right,
yeah.
so we're getting up against it here, so we're gonna have to go. But there is a question that James Flynn is asking, and I wanted to throw it up there because I am interested in this as well. So, what's your must-watch fishing channel that you would recommend to people outside of
Okay.
your own?
All right. So My favorite channels are, you mentioned Christine Fisher. I like Christine Fisher. She does a really good job storytelling, and she's just a beast when it comes to catching bass and muskie. So Christine Fisher is probably my first one. Greg Blanchard is really great too. He fishes a lot in the Delta in California,
Yeah.
but he's from upstate New York, so he fishes the Finger Lakes quite a bit. So Greg Blanchard is another one that I like to watch.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So James, add those. I'm going to add those. Oh, well, I already have Christine. I do not have the other.
Yeah,
So I'm
and
going to
if
have
you
to
if
do that.
so, and my buddy from Michigan, his is the Outdoor Conquest. He does a lot of musky fishing videos because he does a lot of bass, but once
Yeah.
he got hooked to the musky bite, it's like we lost him to that side.
So I have friends that will only go muskie fishing now, like
Mm,
bought boats and everything just for muskie, and they'll go weeks of fishing and not even never seeing one, but it doesn't change how excited they are to go out on float down that river again, like the
mm-hmm.
next weekend. So I get it. I get it. But like I said, I'm also well over my 10,000 casts and I've never even seen one. The only one that I ever hooked was by accident when I was a teenager and I was bass fishing. And
Oh,
it
okay.
was on for about, I don't know, 3 seconds. That
Mm-hmm.
was it. It was down in where the Perky, I tell everyone exactly where it is, where the Perkiomen Creek in Oaks comes out near a dam. It was right
Okay.
there. And yeah, it was also 25, 30 years, probably 30 years ago at this point. And I get it. I get it. But
Yeah, it's the allure of that fish, So we have a couple spots here. There's in Pennsylvania. There's Leaser Lake in Nutropoli. It's maybe 120 acres, but it's one of the few areas around here that's stocked pretty well with muskies.
yeah.
Um, and there's also one called Kircher's Creek, which is a very small lake. I mean, maybe 50 acres, and they have muskie in there as well.
Okay. So anyone who wants to go, let me know when you're going and maybe I'll meet you there.
No, yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, so he's Paul's asking this question here. Have you tried
Okay.
bait casters like the Corrado
Yeah,
to monitor the
so
spool speed?
so I have the Shimano SLX DC, so it's the DC is the digital chip, and it does apply the braking to prevent the birds nesting. So that said, I have birds nested it before, but it's been user error. And it has on the SLX, it has 4 settings on the side, 1 through 4. So same way you would have the brakes that go 1 through 10 on the other side.
Yeah.
Um, so it is a little bit harder to bird's nest it. So not impossible, but I think it's good for guys wanting to start off with something.
All right. I could bird nest it, but maybe that's where I should go next time when I try something out.
Yeah. Well, at least you'll bird nest the $200 reel and not whatever the
Well, that's the thing.
$25 one.
You made a good point. And if you're going to do it and you're going to give it a good go, get the good reel, give yourself the best chance to be successful at it. If you hate it, sell the reel. Somebody will buy it
Mhm.
for nearly what you bought it for. So, what's the damage,
Yeah, for sure.
That's the way that we should look at it, I think, because look on Facebook, you're seeing a quality reel will sell in, if it's only been used a couple times for nearly what it's at new. So
Yeah, and that's
must be all
something
our
you
friends
can
that'll buy them.
practice. You could practice in the off season. You could practice in your yard, in your garage. Admittedly, I have to do more of that because I need to get better at flipping and pitching. But there's guys that can really do some great stuff with them and
Yeah.
not bird's nest.
I'm looking forward to the winter. I have a field behind my house that I think I'm just going to go out and get that saltwater fly rod going again.
Mm.
I don't have enough room in my yard. I'll hit the fence, but
Yeah,
I got to do it. But my neighbor's going to look at me like I'm weird, but I think it has to be done. Yeah, it has to be done. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming on. We got to stick to the hour here. Really appreciate it. Everybody, if you're not following them, check them out online. Check out the Kayak Fishing Dads group on Facebook. It is a great group. It really is. There's a lot of information in there, and it's not just kayak fishing. So you're going to pick up information, whether it's kayak fishing or regular fishing. So I recommend go in there, check it out. I've been in there for years. watching it. So watching everything coming through there, and comment very occasionally because I just don't have the value to add, but I learn a lot. I definitely learn a lot. And yeah, so we'll be back next week, everyone. We'll be announcing later in the week who the guest is. Still trying to shore up the last minute details on that and get the final confirmation, but it should be somebody that you all know and you have seen on this channel and other channels in the past, and probably on TV. So yeah, with that said, everyone, thank you very much. Till next time, everyone, get out there, get on the water, get some tight lines.